Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I just talked to my 17-year-old, and his team has made it. They've made it to the playoffs, or they're in the playoffs for high school baseball, and they've won their first 2 rounds, and so things are getting interesting now. And so the team has made a team decision to all get mullets, and any of you that are familiar with the mullet haircut, my wife, we always said that we wouldn't allow him to have one, but here you have to make an exception. So I told him, I said, if you're gonna get a mullet, I want you to go all the way. And I pulled up a picture of Kenny Powers. Any of you who have never watched Eastbound and Down, it's probably one of the funniest shows ever. I can't remember that actor's name, but anyway, he had the perfect mullet. It was a permed mullet. And my wife was actually talking about how expensive perms were. And I said, son, if you have the guts to go get a permed mullet, I will pay the money for the perm. so do it. But I don't think he has those kind of guts, because I think those perms stick with you for a while. But anyway, he was actually off to go get one this morning. Thought you'd be interested in hearing that story. I'll at least show you all a picture of the back of his, or a side view of his mullet when he gets it. All right, link to put this out today. For investors, it's essential to stay informed about the evolving regulatory landscape and consider its implications on investment decisions. Visit cryptolaw.us to connect your member of Congress. Now, they're retweeting, and by the way, link to is my sponsor. The link to go and invest in private equity on their platform is in the top of the description. You can, the ones I own, just to remind you, I own Ripple Equity, I own Link to Private Equity, that's my largest holding. I own Uphold, I own PolySign. I'm trying to think of the other ones that I have. 1 or 2 other ones, okay? But those are my main things. All right. So they're showing this. This is where John Deaton was debunking the whole rumor that was going around about May 8th, there being some undisclosed meeting with Ripple and the SEC. He says, this is not how a settlement happens. First, I believe the only time a settlement occurs in this case is after ruling by Judge Torres, and that happens only if Ripple gets a big victory. So Gensler could save face and get a political win via settlement. Sorry, not going to happen. All right. So then Mac Attack had done another tweet on that rumor, but this is the part that I like. Ripple's hush-hush talks with SEC. XRP lawsuit nearing a conclusion. That is a fact, Jack. And this is the part that I totally agree. The price literally, if we get a favorable thing, the price literally could explode within seconds. But there's also a very real scenario where when this settlement or judgment or whatever happens, that the market and the people out there misinterpret what it really means, and then misinterpret it in a bad way. And you can see the price go down in the short run. If that happens, the digital asset investor will be buying, because I don't believe that there's any stopping XRP, even if the lawsuit thing went bad, which I don't believe it's going to go. I think it'll probably be a hybrid. Like, in other words, those used to be securities, those transactions of way back when that you did, but XRP itself's not, and XRP in the secondary market is not. And here's how you can sell it in the future. Okay. And CoinsKid comes out with this, XRP Weekly, providing we see the January 2023 low held. I expect XRP to hit at least $6.21 once it breaks the April 2021 high. Game of fibs. Lose the low changes the game. And I believe that 2021 high that he was talking about is $1.94. So we shall see. Folks, there is some creepy stuff going on in the world. Apparently the Kremlin is saying that there was an assassination attempt on Putin last night that came from the Ukraine with drones. This is heating up, folks. This is getting kind of scary, interesting, all the above. Then today is a big day for this.
The Fed expected to hike for the 10th straight time amid unusual and strong opposition to this move from former Fed officials, Fed observers, and palpable concern in markets over the health of regional banks. Former Boston Fed President Eric Rosengren telling us yesterday on Squawk Box, it's not necessary at this point to be raising rates until we get a better view of what the second half of the year looks like. Rosengren pointed to current stress in the banking system and future concerns about credit losses from commercial office space loans. Former Dallas Fed President Robert Kaplan telling Evercore ISI, quote, I would actually not raise rates in this meeting. I wouldn't have raised rates in March either. I'd say the following. We're going to turn over a couple more cards on this banking situation to make sure we understand the impacts of it. The Fed hike, which would bring the funds rate over 5% for the first time since 2007, comes after minutes to the Fed's March meeting said, quote, given their assessment of the potential economic effects of the recent banking sector developments, the staff's projection at the time of the March meeting included a mild recession starting later this year. 100% of those surveyed in the CNBC Fed survey think the Fed's going to hike, but 59% saying the Fed should not do it because of problems in the banking sector. If that were not enough, regional bank stocks down 8% since JP Morgan's purchase of the failed First Republic raised questions about the underlying value of mid-sized banks. They're down 33% since February. A pause by the Fed now would buy some time for banks to get their balance sheets back together, and it would keep the situation from getting worse. It would likely have little impact on inflation immediately because hikes take...
You can kind of see the vibe. They're like, please don't raise these interest rates anymore. And if you see that, folks, you're going to see a surge in everything, is my prediction. You'll see a surge in crypto, surge in stocks, everything. Then we got this from Michael Branch. Today, shares of Pac West Bank Corp fell 27%, similar to other banks as a result. Trading in PACW shares was suspended due to market volatility. Then there was this. Now look at this. This caught my attention from Warren Davidson. This is a bombshell to me. Now this is a bombshell. This is a sitting congressman. By the end of the day, some may start to think the damage to America's financial system is intentional, not collateral damage, but a policy choice. What have I been saying on this channel for probably years? This is controlled demolition. They're doing this intentionally. You cannot sit here and watch all these people make all these backwards decisions and put our country in $30-something trillion in debt. They know they can never pay it off. I believe they're intentionally doing it to roll us into a new system. And I believe the plan has to be either to default on the debt or to have some kind of plan to make it go away. And I don't know what that plan is, but I've always felt like this is intentional because none of it makes any sense. Speaking of not making sense, here's an interview with Michael Saylor, and I said, if this wasn't the Bitcoin thing, if this wasn't all one big deceptive show, the first question out of any respectable interviewer's mouth would be, how can a CEO of a company and his board invest so much in something not knowing who created it? Doesn't that create tremendous liability for you? Don't you have a fiduciary duty to your shareholders to do proper due diligence? Have you spoken to Homeland Security about the 4 Satoshis they claim to have met with? But no, she doesn't ask those questions.
Joining us now exclusively is MicroStrategy co-founder and executive chairman, Michael Saylor. Michael, great to have you on the show. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Morgan.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about earnings, because in your core software business, software licenses revenue climbed 23%, subscription services revenue up 46%, but really the focus from the market as per usual, since MicroStrategy is the largest publicly traded holder of Bitcoin, is the fact that your impairment loss for Bitcoin was so much smaller than it has been in recent quarters. Walk me through the results and the flywheel between these two companies within the company.
Sure. We have progressively built up a Bitcoin position up to 140,000 Bitcoin over the past 2.5 years. When Bitcoin traded from 66,000 all the way down to 16,000, we took an impairment loss. In the course of the last 12 weeks, that Bitcoin position has traded up $2 billion in fair market value. So, of course, when it's trading down, there are tax consequences and indefinite intangible write-offs. But when it's trading up, we reverse some of the tax accounting. The indefinite intangible treatment hasn't changed any. But I think the short of it is,
in other words, they're selling, and here it is. Michael Saylor spent months promising investors his company would never sell Bitcoin in hundreds of years. MicroStrategy now confirms they'll be selling Bitcoin to pay off billions of debt obligations. The White House wants to impose a punitive tax on crypto mining operations for the harms they impose on society. I've told you 1,000 times on this channel, these people that think, oh, you own the keys, therefore they can't get it. Well, yeah, technically, but they can make it not worth you owning if they don't want you to own it. There's a lot of ways to skin a cat. And then you've got this. Italy imposes 26% tax on Bitcoin and crypto. David Schwartz tweeted this out yesterday. I thought it was interesting because we don't see inside the Ripple offices very often. He was talking about how empty it was there. Check this out. Here's an inside look of Ripple's headquarters. How to join a meeting using the touch panel. Is there anything else we see? Why it looks like they've got that looks like a DJ booth. Do they have a DJ that plays music for them in there? I don't know. Interesting. Now this I thought was funny. I wanted to show it to you before I go. Think about how unlucky you have to be for this to be your resume. And I don't know if somebody made this up, but it's funny if they did. This guy was at Theranos, which ended up being a fraud. WeWork, I believe, ended up being something similar. Then he goes fun employed, took a year off because of what happened to him in these two situations. Then he goes to FTX, which ends up being a fraud. Then he goes to SVB, which is a bank that collapses, and then he goes to First Republic, which also collapses. Don't be whoever this guy is. Boy, I hope nothing like this happens to my children. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Don't be whoever this is. Nobody could possibly be this unlucky, I don't think.